Homecoming, strangely enough, is one of the darkest tales in the entire collection. It deals with Spartan origins, which hardcore fans know is a pretty tragic scenario anyway. But this one has a twist that makes the whole thing even more dark than you might expect.
I was intrigued by the novel that I read by Eric Nylund called Fall of Reach. It briefly explores the training days of the Spartans. And it was actually an interesting idea that I wanted to explore because what would that experience been like? I mean, it certainly would have been very traumatic. So when this idea was first brought up and we were discussing with Frank and Aramaki came up with the idea of, well, what if a couple of the Spartans escaped from their training camp and went back home and faced their clones face to face? What would transpire from that? And I was really happy to see when the script came back from Production IG from the director, it really was fleshed out in a wonderful, dramatic story.
Director Sawai Koji has worked with Mamoru Oshii in films that had a young girl as the lead character, films like Patlabor 2. He's always shown the ability to portray female characters affectionately and beautifully. So that's why I thought this director would be perfect for the Homecoming episode, which centers around a female Spartan warrior. 15 minutes is not a lot of time to tell a deep story like this, so I wanted someone who really understands how to portray female characters and create drama around them.
Halo is a wonderfully crafted universe, and I wanted to bring our best staff and artists to add our own flavor to it as well by crafting a beautiful drama and art, as much as time allowed.
What would our moms and dads think of us if they saw us?
It's been 7 years.
Having been very familiar with the script of Homecoming as that developed, it was amazing when we started getting some of the visuals in and seeing what the images would look like because of the contrast between the darkness of the story, what happened with Daisy, what happened with the Spartan children, and the lightness in some ways of the animation of the art. We've got the scene, for example, when she goes home and she's running down the long, long road to her home, and her home is beautiful. It's flowers and blue skies. But what she finds there is terrible, really. It's terrible for her, and it's terrible that such a thing had to be done in order to create the Spartans. And so I don't think that point would have been as powerful if it had been done in a dark way. I don't think that it would have been nearly as effective.
The Spartan origin story is one of the most popular pieces of extra canon in the Halo universe. We don't actually tell it in the games. Everything is just assumed, but people who are familiar with the novels and comic books are fairly aware of the Spartan origin tale. And it's very grim, and it's a very serious one, so there's not much room for levity in this particular episode, but we think it's going to be satisfying at a very basic emotional level.
Homecoming was one of the more challenging episodes for us as far as having conversations about how dark we could go with the creation of the Spartans, because Master Chief is an absolute hero. He absolutely fights for all of us, and he does the right thing all the time, but where he came from is a darker kind of question. And the Homecoming episode shows us through the experiences of one of his fellow Spartans, the impact that this experience of being taken from one's family, put into a school, and then actually, maybe even worse, replaced in your family by somebody else. The effect that would have on the Spartans isn't something that's been addressed a lot before, and this is a really interesting take on it, and I think it's one that'll make people think differently about Spartans going forward.
You know, it's not Chief's story, but it kind of is. When you think about Chief and who he has become and how strong these Spartans are, what they had to go through to get there is something that people don't often think about.
With regards to Homecoming and the Spartan going back home and seeing her clone in her family, first, that Spartan really has to be kick-ass to escape, right? All Spartan kids are, but this one shows unusual potential. I like her already. But going home and seeing yourself replaced, what a terrible thing. I would feel betrayed and hurt. I mean, that's the short story of the Spartans. They are betrayed and they don't know it, most of them. And they're continually hurt, maybe for a good cause, maybe for a bad cause, but they take a lot of punishment. That's tough.